Three Unitarian Universalist ministers arrive at the pearly gates. Much to their own surprise and that of St. Peter, who, upon checking his records, realizes that while these three ministers have led fully exemplary lives, their sources of inspiration extend beyond Christianity, and heaven is only for self-proclaimed Christians, and so they shouldn't be up here in the first place. But it's a slow day, and St. Peter's in a good mood. So he offers them a deal. I'm going to ask each of you a question. And if you answer correctly, I'll let you into heaven. But if you get it wrong, straight to hell you go. They figure this is as good a deal as they're likely to get, and so St. Peter asks the first one, please explain the meaning of Easter. The first minister scratches his head and says, isn't that it? There's a fat guy in a red suit, and he's got reindeer, and he's bringing toys, and yeah. There's an awkward moment of silence and surprise as St. Peter pushes a big red button, and the poor fellow is hurled into the pits of hell. So St. Peter asks the second minister the same question. She looks confused, and then says, you got this bunny hopping around, hiding eggs under the bushes, and little kids scrambling to find them, and St. Peter again hits the big red button, and she's cast down to the place of eternal damnation. The third minister, Reverend Neal Jones, steps up, and St. Peter asks him the same question. Neal's prepared for this, however. He's been studying for over a decade to reach the pinnacle of becoming an installed union minister. And he knows his stuff. With an air of authority, Neal begins. See, Jesus, who was viewed as a political threat by the authorities and as the Messiah by the Jews, was arrested in the Garden of Gethsemane after Judas betrayed him. He was hauled before Pilate and sentenced to death. Then he was crucified on the Mount of Calvary. St. Peter's beginning to relax. Neal's response is sounding good. St. Peter's reaching for the big green button as Neal catches his breath to complete the story. So Jesus was buried in a tomb with a rock rolled in front of the opening. 3 days later, the rock rolls away. And if he comes out and sees his shadow, there will be 6 more weeks of life. You've come a long way, Neal. And thankfully, we all still have miles to go together. I want to talk to you about Neal, about you, and perhaps about myself as I reflect on Neal as our pastor. Pastoral care is not a term that we throw around in UU circles very much. It's one of those holy terms that my college religion professor used and that I was familiar with from my Baptist church days. Neal, you and I share that Baptist background. The pastor is shepherd, is guider and protector, the all-knowing father type who was there 24/7, available to guide and protect me from the wolves of life. I'm older now with a different perspective about pastoral care. Pastoral care can happen during an experience of need, of needing consolation, of needing to be listened to, of needing to be heard. It can happen during a time of vulnerability, a time of feeling weak and frightened. It can be the response during a time of confusion, of making poor decisions, of needing to have a bit of a reality check. What are the characteristics of Neal Jones as pastor? Now, I'll tell you that when I was preparing these comments, I thought I would go to the expert sources of pastoral care, and I looked and read, and I finally gave up. And I'm just going to tell you what I think about him. Neal is a pastor with clear priorities. You know where he stands. You know what he's aiming for. But he manages to convey these priorities with a sense of comfort and lightness. Another way to express this is to quote a line from a Sarah Lee Guthrie and Johnny Arion song. Angels fly because they take themselves lightly. Reverend Jones does not shy away from conflicts. When speaking truth to power, he can do so eloquently with moral authority, courage and vision. When speaking truth to the power of a person, he does so with equal eloquence, but with a mix of honest communication, gentleness, and clarity. He doesn't shrink from dealing with hard issues, but he doesn't seek to lessen anyone's sense of dignity in the process. Neal is not casual about his sermons. He doesn't produce cookie-cutter formula sermons. It is obvious that Neal sees his sermons as an important few moments to peel away some of our veneers, to look closely at our struggles, to air his own struggles, and to do it all with good humor. Not humor that distracts from the importance of the message, but humor that says, in spite of it all, we, you, and I are going to be okay as we show the path to each other, sometimes reaching up for a helping hand, sometimes reaching back to take another's hand. Reverend Jones carries out his responsibility so as not to communicate a sense of such self-importance that anyone feels indispensable. While he is there for others, he has a confidence in others that keeps him from creating dependency. This is a nuanced pastor. This is not a pastor who is the all-knowing, all-powerful shepherd. Neal is the pastor who shares in the ministry of our spiritual community, who empowers others to share in this ministry. We've seen this pastor laugh. We've seen this pastor cry. And through it all, we have seen this pastor show us so many ways to come together in our blessed community. Neal, you are my pastor and my friend. You are our pastor, and for both I am grateful.